Well, hello there, friends. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is my beginnings, because everybody's a beginner at some point, right? So please excuse me, put another hard day's work in again, trying to get this new shop ready. But I knew I had to make my Sunday video for all of you. So here we are, Saturday night, making it at the last minute, because I really have been so busy I don't even have a free minute. But anyway, going back to what I was going to start saying, was back when I was 11 years old. What I was doing was with the inspiration of my father, who had just recently passed away. He was an old hot rodder. So I guess I was at the age when I was about 10. I had a custom bicycle I put in auto shows. So from there, I started doing custom painting, and when I was 11 years old, I was painting the cars of my neighbors all up and down the street for money, painting them in my mother's driveway, if you can believe it. You know, back then nobody really cared, right? So anyway, here I am making my own money when I'm 11 years old. So that's pretty much when it all started. So I was doing auto body and paint up until the time I was about 15, when I started working for an uncle of mine who had an upholstery shop. But you know, some of you have heard this story before, but he didn't want to teach me too much. So maybe he thought I'd be his future competition or something like that. So being that he didn't teach me too much, I was still learning on my own. You know, today I just got a comment from somebody who said, you know, he said he was going to spend 8 months. Oh, there goes our neighbor. So, spend 8 months on some kind of an upholstery course. And I told him, I said, well, you know what I always say, right? That you're always your own best teacher. So just get behind that sewing machine and just start sewing it up. Sew anything, you know, just start working on anything, even if it's a nothing. Just put some material underneath that sewing machine and just start sewing. You know, that's where you start. Don't wait 8 months. You know, you're just putting yourself like too far out there with excuses of how you're not going to really get on track. So the main thing that you have to do if you're a beginner is just do something, okay? Don't say, well, I'm going to do something. Just do it. So anyway, here I am, 15 years old. You know, circle back again, right? 15 years old. Okay, and I thought, man, I kind of like this upholstery. It's not as critical as body and paint is. You know, you don't have to be as perfect with upholstery, especially when you're starting out. You know, you might want to have a high standard, but you know, you'll just beat yourself up with that, right? Because you're learning. So here I was, 15 years old. There was no such thing as YouTube back then. Okay, so I had to learn everything. And the way you learn everything is from experience. That's why I'm telling you, you just have to do something. So I didn't have this kind of advice when I was starting out. And come to realize decades later now that I wasted a lot of time. I wasted years and years and years that I wish I could have skipped and went from a number 2 to a number 8, right? But for several years I just stayed just above that 2, you know, maybe to 3. You know, you're looking for business. I went to car dealers, okay, to do upholstery work. I used to sell to the car dealers, and that was a huge mistake. You know, at the time I thought, okay, they're paying me money. But then, you know, now, right, knowing what I know now, wish I would have known then, is, you know, the dealers, you know, they only want to pay you half of what you would charge for retail. You know, so, but you know what? Somebody told me, well, it's okay that you're not charging as much because they're giving you a lot of work. Okay, but that is like crazy logic to me now. You know, why would I want to do twice the amount of work for half the money? You know, now to me, I don't know, maybe to you, but to me, that doesn't sound very logical at all. So here I am for several years doing car dealer work. Okay, and then I thought, well, it's making me money. It's getting my foot in the door, but I wasn't really going anywhere. I wasn't meeting new people. I wasn't networking with anybody. And that's my next step. Is when I was probably 20, 21 years old, when I had my own upholstery shop. I started doing a lot of custom work, doing the Volkswagens and, the bugs and the custom bugs, all that kind of stuff. If you're around in the early 80s, you know what I'm talking about. After that came mini trucks. After the mini trucks came they called them Euro cars, right? The Hondas and all that kind of stuff. So, you kind of roll with the flow. So whatever the flavor is at the moment, that's where you go. So I got involved with car clubs and all. When I was about 20, 21 years old, I was doing the old cars. So I joined some old car clubs. Okay, and I got to know people, did some networking. People, they refer you to other people. And, that's one way to get a good work base going. And that's what I did. And I really enjoyed working on the old cars. I worked on everything from a 1908 Packard on up. Most of the stuff was probably like 1950s cars, 1940s cars. And then I really started getting serious into the old car restoration. So that's when, this was in mid 1990s now. So mid 1990s, I was doing all the $1 million cars, all the classics, the Duesenbergs, the Accords, the Auburns, the V16 Cadillacs, the V12 Packards, because that's what was popular at the time. But you know what? I made my way into that crowd. I stepped in, got myself involved, made a name for myself, and people started throwing money at me. And that's what you do. Okay, so I'm telling you this because if you are just starting out, regardless of your age, okay, if you're 18 years old or if you're 54 years old, I have people in comments all the time. They're telling me that they just retired and they're interested in doing upholstery. So upholstery is a great way to spend your retirement. But don't even think about it as a hobby, because you're doing the same amount of work whether if it's a hobby or if you're doing a service for somebody. So if you're doing a service for somebody, you're getting paid, right? So you might as well get paid if that's what you're going to be doing. So anyway, here I am, circle back, 1995, 1996. So after the old cars and all the custom cars and stuff like that, I was still doing a lot of custom work for different auction companies, doing some work for Drew Alcazar. He is the owner of Russo and Steel in Scottsdale, Arizona, as well as Craig and Nellie Jackson of the Bear Jackson auction in Scottsdale, Arizona. I was doing Clive Cussler's automobile collection in Golden, Colorado, or Arvada, Golden. He's right there in that area. But anyway, probably did 40 of his cars, 40 of Drew's Ferraris, his old 1950s Ferraris. And it was about 1999. I was doing a lot of upholstery for Sun Valley Classics in Scottsdale, Arizona. And did some really special cars there, and that's where I did the one of a kind, the 54 Plymouth Explorer that's now in the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, California. So that's one of my jobs I did there. I have a video on that, and if you wanted to take a look at that one. Also, you can see all this stuff, a lot of this stuff you can see on my website at reupholstery.com. And especially if you wanted to see my biography, just go to the Rudolph's Virtual Museum link, and you'll learn a lot of what I've been through, and I'm telling you this not to really you know, how would you say, make something of myself that's bigger than I am. And these are just experiences that I've had in my life. So if I can do some of this stuff, I think that you can do some of this stuff. So what I am telling you is that it's possible. Okay, so don't give up. If you ever had an interest in upholstery, for 30 years, probably anyway, I've heard people say that upholstery is a dying art. I've heard that over and over and over. And here I am, 35 years later, 45 years later, just keeps on going. But I'm still here. I do hear about a lot of the oldies, a lot of the guys that used to do upholstery. A lot of them are gone now. So, that leaves a vacuum for you younger guys. If you younger guys want to fill some of the vacuum of doing upholstery, and I'm not talking about switching over seat covers, right? You could buy a seat cover someplace online and switch it out for somebody. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is literally taking an old pattern apart. Say, let's say 1966 Ford Thunderbird, okay? You take the seat out, you take all the patterns apart, you lay it on a table, you draw them out on your new material, you sew everything up. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Those guys are gone, sorry guys if you're still around, but a lot of them are gone, and they need to be replaced. And I get a lot of comments, people saying, well, I like the idea that you're giving advice to the younger people. I hope that you can help younger people carry on this this tradition and this line of work, doing upholstery, because a lot of the oldies are going away. So here I am. As of now, we're getting ready to be 2025. So 2025, the last 2 years, actually last 4 years, but the last 2 years have really been probably the best years of my 45 years of doing this. Because I moved from Scottsdale, Arizona to a small town in Texas, right? Actually, we moved to Houston first. I was there for 1 year before we moved to the small town. So when I was in Arizona, I was okay. I was doing a lot of special cars, a lot of the Nissan GTRs and the Mercedes SLRs and all of the special stuff that was in Scottsdale. But I could show you some of my work. That was Ego Auto Interiors. EGO stand for every good one. So I had Ego Auto Interiors as I was doing a lot of custom work, the diamond stitching, all that kind of stuff, and all the real expensive sports cars and boats. But I was okay with that, and I thought I was doing really good, because at that point I was probably doing the best that I'd done up to my career at that point. But we decided in 2020, after the pandemic, that we weren't going to stay in Arizona anymore, because we're thinking about our retirement. Where are we going to go? So we were looking at some land in Sierra Vista, Arizona, which is on the Mexican border, in southern Arizona. It's beautiful out there. It's all grassland. But I was asking my wife, I said, well, do you want to be where there's water or where there's no water? So the idea of not being where there's no water, that wasn't any good. So we ended up here in Texas. So when I moved to Houston, I was still doing, I kind of carried on what I was doing there in Arizona. Just kind of like turned the page and just continued what I was doing. And then I took that leap. I had no idea what was going to happen. Moving to a small town So moving to a small town, I thought, man, is that small town going to be able to support our income? Am I going to be able to make money there? So I didn't study demographics, and I had no idea at all what I was looking at when I thought about moving to the small town. So what I knew was that we were thinking about our retirement. So we wanted to move into a small town in Texas, I guess. So part of that plan was after Houston, we moved into a small town here in East Texas. And you know, either people had a lot of money, or the people have no money. So there's like no middle class. So the people that had the money became my customers. They're the people that live near the lake. So they have boats, and they have jet skis, and they have motorcycles, and some custom cars that they need upholstery done. But you know what? I also get people dropping off their couch cushions, their kitchen chairs, their little ottomans. You know, back in the 1990s, I was this guy, the prima donna, right? Working on these $1 million cars. But here I am, it's going to be 2025. And here I am doing kitchen chairs. So that's fine with me. And, you know, what I'm telling you then is don't turn away work. It's all money. So, you name your price, and if they agree to it, you know, now you're not wasting your time, right? So here we are in this small town. Probably the best 2 years of my career, it turns out to be. And now we're here, and you know, you can see we have the new building here that I've been working on. And over to my left here is where our future retirement home is going to be. After I'm done building this, I'll get started building that. And you know, if you know me, you know that I've been doing this all myself. So between doing the business, making videos, and building buildings, this is what I do. That's why I don't have a spare minute. So anyway, like I was saying, till next time, we'll see ya.